Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of New Comic Book Day Book Club. We're here with myself and John, as always, and we got Bearded Comic Bro joining us. What's up?
Not much. Thank you guys for having me on. So excited to talk a little comic books with you guys.
It's a pleasure. It's nice to be on a stream with you when we're not in competition with one another.
That's right.
Sorry, it's not my phone.
So tonight we are talking about Wynd number 2, since this was a fairly grim week for number ones, and John and I had some differing opinions for issue 1. So we figured let's give issue 2 a try and see what we can find. We got
Forcing you to read a book that you're like, no, okay, fine. So
Old Wolf in the chat. What's up?
This is the turnaround.
Yeah. So I don't know if I mentioned this on this show or not, but last time we talked about how this felt like John felt like the first issue kind of ended at a strange point. And I did confirm that this was actually written as a original graphic novel. And then Boom said, hey, why don't we split this up into individual issues before we put it out as a collection? So that's why clearly they kind of end on notes that seems, sort of like a kind of a cliffhanger stopping point, but at the same time, both issues kind of seemed somewhat arbitrary, and that's why. Geeky Aficionado, you're welcome on anytime. Let us know what week you want to be on and what book you want to read, and there's your invite. Gorvidal, hello.
We got an indie coming next week. I think in issue 2, right? We're doing
we're doing another issue 2. We're doing
dropping another deuce next week.
You'll find out at the end of the show because you gotta get you to stick around somehow. And
hang with the carrot.
One other thing that I haven't mentioned in a few weeks, that any super chats during this show on my channel, at least, because John does not monetize the channel, goes to literacy campaign charities. So no pressure, but just to let you know, if you do super chat us, it's not going in my pocket. Well, I mean, it is temporarily, but then eventually, because I can't set it up otherwise. So yeah, Wynd number 2.
So let's do the quick grades, Alec. If you're gonna grade this one, what kind of letter grade or out of 10? What do you want to do here?
Definitely liked it less than issue 1, which, again, because this was written in the way it was written, I feel like that's going to kind of be the way it is, because a graphic novel is going to have peaks and valleys as far as stuff that, hey, Michael Russo, my good buddy Mike, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, so it's going to have peaks and valleys, right? Because you have to tell a story. It's not necessarily written in a way that you want to, it's not going to flow the same way as individual issues are going to flow.
Right.
So I don't know. The first one I gave, a 9.2 or something? This is like an 8. Lot of setup.
Yeah, I thought maybe you weren't going to. There were definitely I was like, ooh, there's a lot more exposition. I was like, oh man, it's gonna take a hit. This was a take a hit. Yeah, I don't know. I think I did a 7.5 last time. I would say this one is less as well. I'd say it's 7. I did not. This one did not win me over.
So, I feel like I'm gonna be kind of Switzerland for you guys and be in between you two.
Oh, really?
So I really enjoyed the first one. I wouldn't put it up as high as Alec did, but I would have definitely put it higher than you did, John. And when the second issue dropped just a little bit for me, I appreciated the setup a little bit more because of how much I enjoyed issue 1 to see kind of where we're going now. I felt a lot more invested in the characters because of issue 2. But it does still read weird from the, like Alex said, of, because I did that research too, of like, they're like, Boom's like, we want some single issues that we can sell and make money off of, because people aren't going to just buy trades. And
Right.
so it feels weird because it's not written in the structure that you would get for if it was coming out in single issues. So, but I appreciated where it was setting up, because I feel like it's going to be an expansive world. And I'm excited to see what happens. So.
Yeah, and even stranger to that point is that I feel like because it was written as a graphic novel, it's kind of strange that they like shoved so much exposition into this issue or this section of the story, because that could have been kind of sprinkled throughout. But I guess we'll see where it goes, obviously, but it seems like, oh, well, you could have built the world as you went a little bit more, which I felt like is what they were doing in the first issue a lot more in this issue.
Yeah, I would argue that the first issue had more subtlety than this one.
Oh, big time.
Was taking its time to set up certain things, and there's just not. This felt like the like second sequence in Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they're just going to sit down and have the professors just tell you all this stuff and like set up what's going to happen later on. Like, just Indiana Jones is going to get the chalkboard. He's going to draw a little bit. He's going to tell you some things, and then you'll know what's going to happen later on when they don't explain it, what's going on.
Yeah, Gorvidal said, totally off topic, but I was looking forward to Yasmin, a Scout comic, but it was sold out of my shop. Anyone read it? Yeah, like, was that?
I have.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
It's a real bummer because there's a lot of those good, really small publishers like Scout. They put out a lot of really cool stuff, but shops just don't order them unless you request them, because they feel like, I mean, they usually do just sit on the shelf because people aren't necessarily coming in looking for that stuff, because they'll just order it if they are typically. But it's too bad, because you miss out on a lot of great things sometimes because you only have 5,000 copies of Wolverine #3 on the shelf.
Right. I will say what I do like about Scout, I don't want to go off on Gore, but if you are looking for what Scout does do well, is they have a whole slot of back issues of their stuff. So I just looked, you can actually go onto their website and buy Yasmin still if your shop doesn't have it. So they do keep their online store pretty stocked up of their books. And I only have it because I did a subscription box for them of all their books. So a monthly sub box. So
see, that's funny. I think because of this show and hanging out with Alec and his taste for independent comics, like my knowledge and interest in independent comics has just been growing since doing this YouTube thing. And so for me, I've only got 2 publishers I really dabble in, and it's Image, if you can count it as an indie, and it's Boom, and that's like pretty much it. Like, I've really not gone out of that bubble so far. So Scout I have not really explored the Scout world.
Well, John, I'll give you some recommendations after the show.
Do it. Yeah, definitely.
So to give a brief summary of this issue, it also felt like where the first issue was much more like we mentioned, the how it was more subtle, where it felt like, okay, I'm following the story, and I feel like I haven't been told the whole thing yet, but I feel like I'm going to get there. This one felt like there were points where I was like, did I miss something? But anyway, it starts with the prince going in to see his father, the king, who is dying from something. And he basically says to him, like, I have to tell you my last wish every day in case I die. And his last wish is that he keeps the, quote, blood laws, which basically outlaws magic beings in their city. And so he says, like, you have to come back tomorrow so I can tell you this again so that it becomes law, because it's my last wish.
So because I couldn't understand. I felt like he was implying that his son's an idiot and he needs to just keep reminding him. Was there an element of like this becomes law if it's only if it's my last wish?
Yeah. He says something. My last wish to you will become law, and you will uphold it until the last of your days. This is the way of our people.
So couldn't he just say it one time and then just not say anything, not make any other wishes, and just let it go like that? That was the last one.
I mean, maybe it's just like the way the culture works. But he says, if we're lucky, I'll pass the night and we'll be done with this damned ritual. I'll be free of this pain.
Yeah, I remember
otherwise, have the boy brought back to me in the morning, and I'll give my last wishes again.
It almost makes it feel like it's a ritual that they've set up so that way, at the last minute, if he changes his mind, they can say, no, this is always, he's always been saying this is his last will, which almost leads me to believe that something's going to happen with that.
But
because they're focusing on that ritual so much that it feels like that could be a setup down the road.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering how the issue ends, I think that definitely is something that is going to come into play. So as the prince and kind of I don't know what his role is, but his name is Basil. He's kind of like a consigliere or something.
Yeah, exactly.
The bandaged man is walking in to speak to the king while they're leaving, and the prince just says tomorrow night. And this was one of the things I was confused about because, I feel like he was asking a question based on something the other guy said, but he didn't say anything. But basically, they're making a plan to do something tomorrow night.
Which basically was something that kind of happened near the end of the last issue where they had kind of been planning his escape.
Getaway, yeah. So then it cuts back to the family, Wynd's family, and his sister, who's done being a pipe down engineer.
Thank you, Rod, for this $10 super chat.
Hey, thanks, Rod. Huge shout out to Rod for $10 super chat. Very generous.
Always a supporter.
Always super chatting.
Yeah.
And they have like a whole page about how bad she smells, which I thought was weird.
There's a lot. There's a lot on the smell.
And then more on the smell when she talks to Wynd.
Right.
And then it's kind of just like some character building for a few pages. And then Wynd goes to get some butter and sees Basil talking to his mom in the storeroom. And she reveals his ears to Basil, who looks shocked and upset by it. But then they just kind of continue their conversation without referencing it. He gets the butter and goes back upstairs. The mom's like, hey, we need to have a family meeting. She says,
so that I can basically tell you everything.
I'm going to tell you everything and tell you that I'm sneaking you out to live in this northern town that allows magic people to live free.
Right.
Then we get this story about the bandaged man and how he's so bad and how she found Wynd as a child and had to save him even though she knew it was trouble. And Wynd says, no, I'm not going to go, blah, blah, blah. And then his sister promises that she won't let him leave. And he says, like, I just want to live a normal life and I know that's not possible, but I just want to live my life the best I can here. I don't want to be sent away. Very emotional, a lot of crying, a lot of big emotional faces.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to the gardener's son, who finds his dad being interrogated by the bandaged man because he smells magic on him, and he confesses that there is a magical plant that he's been hiding. And then the dad's like, well, I hope the king knows that I've served him loyally all these years, because he kind of is insinuating that he's going to get killed otherwise.
Right.
Then we get some more exposition with the cook talking about what it's like outside of the city in other lands where magic users can be free. And then Wynd finds a way with his sister to kind of like escape hiding out without being sent away with his mom. The mom sends the cook to go find the son, to find Wynd, and then we cut back to the castle where the prince is escaping with the gardener's son, and that's the whole issue. And I know that was probably a thrilling recap of
It was
it.
amazing. I mean, the energy that you brought into.
If you guys weren't sold on Wynd before that,
but like to the point, like it wasn't like a very exciting issue.
It was not. No, it was all more setup, and it was a ton of exposition, and it was just like when you said, "What is this all about?" In my head, I thought people getting ready to do stuff.
Yeah,
that's what this was. Like it wasn't. Nobody did things; they just got ready to do things.
And if this were a graphic novel, you could have turned the page and kept reading and saw where this went, but it wasn't. So now, like, knowing that this is going to be collected because that's how it was originated, am I going to continue to buy the rest of the issues? I don't know. Like, I was really excited about the first one because I thought it was cool and I liked the tone of it and I liked how subtle it was and how kind of not in your face and expositional it was. This kind of like
punch you on that one.
Yeah, it was like give me the old rope-a-dope. Anyway, I'll let you guys talk for a bit. You're on mute.
For me, it's basically what you've already kind of said. What I liked about the first issue is less so in this one. What I didn't like about the first issue is more so in this one. So that it got me both times. That sword cut both the ways. There were pieces that I liked. I was gonna share the best drawing I think in this particular issue.
Really cool.
Is the bandaged man.
It's still like I really like the art all the way through. I thought it's emotive and it's.
Sorry, the light's really bad.
The fact that this isn't a variant cover or something.
It's gonna be the second print variant.
Like cover. They've dropped the ball on that if they don't, because people will buy it just because of that cover.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like overly long. Like I felt like sequences went on for like 2 pages where I was like, you could have done that in a couple panels and just moved us on. So I mean, I was I was already like about the comic, and now I'm like about the comic.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like a lot of the exposition was stuff that like we kind of already inferred.
Right. And we had kind of figured that out and bandied that around when we read it a month ago.
Yeah, I feel like my only beef with issue 2 is I feel like would have made issue 1 less enjoyable. It sounds like for Alec is that they could have brought some of what they did of story building setup into that first issue to expand a little bit more, because it is a slow burn, and I want to know. I guess for me going forward, I want to know how many more issues it is, because the first 2 issues have been such a long setup.
Yeah, I feel like the graphic novel is supposed to be like just over 200 pages, I think.
Okay, and there's like 85 pages in each issue, it seems.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty long. I think they're like 36 or 48 pages, so it's gonna be like I don't know 5 issues, maybe 6.
Which, if it's only like 5 or 6, I feel like it's been a lot of setup for what's then going to feel like. I feel like it's going to get rushed and jam-packed in the following issues because of that. With that being said, I still have liked where they're starting to take it. I just want to get there a little faster.
Yeah, totally. I think what it needed is more like forward momentum plot and less backwards momentum plot. Like we were just saying, like we get the backstory. We don't need all the details of the backstory. Like you can pepper that in, but like I don't need to know every detail about why, the bandage man is the way he is, or like how she found Wynd. Like that stuff doesn't matter as much as where the story is going to me.
Yeah, because it's like 10 or 12 pages of telling us something that we already kind of had an idea of what it was. So I feel like that's where the parts where they definitely dragged it out a little bit, where they could almost sprinkle that in throughout. If they want to tell the whole story of the Bandage Man, kind of maybe parcel it a little bit more than that, then
just leave him as a mysterious figure, because that's just as interesting sometimes.
that's kind of what I felt like the backstory for the Bandaged Man and the how she found Wynd could have gone anywhere or not at all. And it's more than likely that it's, like you're saying, set up for the graphic novelization version where you need this information, and in a graphic novel it would just all go together. But for it just doesn't really work for me this way.
Olaf said, so this book isn't a buy. So for me, like, issue 1 was a definite buy. I would have fully recommended it at that point. This issue, like, I wouldn't recommend buying this issue. Like, if you read the first one and liked it, I would say at this point, wait for the trade. If you didn't read the first one, wait for the trade to come out and read some reviews of it, because like, this is also $5. So it's a hefty boy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, by the time this is done, you're going to spend more money on the issues than you would have on a trade, and then buy the trade on top of that. I mean, that's a hard pass for me. I was either going to buy all the issues or the trade, but I wasn't going to do both either way, unless it was like a Little Bird level of great, which, like, already from issue 1, I could tell it wasn't going to be that good.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm going to stick with it, just because I've already invested $10 in. I feel like I want to know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
If I buy the trade, I feel like I'm going to be spending more money. So I'm still captivated by it. I still want to know where it's going. I'm invested enough into it to know what transpires, where it sounds like John is like, I don't care what happens.
I don't. And I'm it's funny because this would, on the surface, or at least in the pitch, seem like something that's right up my alley. I like fantasy. I enjoy sort of the artwork style. Feels like a little Scotty Young-ish, maybe a little anime-ish, and think it'd be something that I'd be into. I just the way the story is laid out, I have not enjoyed or felt connected to any of the characters really. I appreciate the progressive nature of different relationships, different sexual orientation characters. I appreciate that it's just not an issue. It's just part of the story. I like that quality, but I don't like these characters all that much. I don't care about, the coolest one is the Bandaged Man, and he gets no time. So Wynd is as interesting as a fantasy
as a Wynd
can get.
So, I
don't like his sister. I don't like Mom. I don't like the Prince. I don't like the hench. I don't like any of them. None of them come across.
None of them really have personalities yet.
Yes, no personalities yet. Yeah,
and that very well may change. But to go back to your point about the sexuality thing really quickly, we talked about that during the first issue a lot, is that it's not like, oh, it's forbidden that he's gay.
No.
It's just that, like, the thing that's the forbidden thing is that it's a noble with the gardener's son. But then in this issue, they have this really weird line that I felt like kind of backpedaled on that a bit, when Wynd, has the crush on the gardener's son as well from afar. And the cook, when he's talking to Wynd, says, "Oh, I've seen you blushing. You're going to go see your girlfriend." Like, why is it all of a sudden heteronormative?
Right. Because he clearly doesn't know, whereas the other characters know, right? At least know the object of his affection.
But in this world where it's not a big deal and it doesn't matter, why is that still the default?
Unless it is a big deal and they're just waiting to drop that hammer on us, you think?
Yeah, maybe.
What do you think, Greg? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I wonder if it was, and I don't know, maybe if it was setting up this idea of that there is a world where, it doesn't matter your orientation of, who you choose to love in that setting, and maybe they're still dropping in that no matter what type of world it is, you're still going to have people who are going to be one-minded in an aspect like the cook. And I don't know if that's what they're trying to set up with that character build from that to bring it. So it's maybe to bring it down to more of a realization to our world that we're in right now, because there are still people, that is still a predominantly thing of, or society still split on that. So I wonder if that's something that they're trying to still bring that a part of and not just make it a complete, this is a world that completely embraces that. So
yeah, that's an interesting point, and I feel like if that is the case, though, they went like super subtle with it, and they're going to really have to like double down on that. Or it could also be the sort of thing where it's like it's not necessarily a against or for thing, but it is maybe just like some people just still kind of assume that you're going to be column A and not necessarily column B.
Yeah.
Which, like Michael is saying, it breaks that world. The vision of the world was presented as, it's not. There are no norms in this regard, and that's the comment creates a set of norms, right?
Right, because it would be super easy just to say, "Hey, I've seen you blushing. Who do you have a crush on?" Or like, you got someone you like that you're going to see.
Yeah, you're gonna go check on your crush.
Right.
Yeah. But maybe they're trying to show us that the chef is clearly out of the loop, because later on he seems out of the loop on other little things. Like he just doesn't seem fully aware of a lot of things.
Yeah, but then he's also like, when Wynd asks him about magic beings, he's like, "Oh, they're just like everyone else. They're just people. Like, you got some good ones, you got some bad ones." So he's like super liberal when it comes to that.
Right. No, but I mean, I took it more as like he is unaware of Wynd and the mom and all that dynamic. He's not. He can't read Wynd well enough to know why Wynd is asking these things.
Right.
He hasn't noticed anything.
He's not observant
all the time that Wynd has been around, and he hasn't learned anything about Wynd and his romantic interests. He is just oblivious to a lot.
He's just happy being a cook.
Right.
But yeah, for all the effort or all like the direct kind of, I don't want to say overt, but like clearly intentional ideas that they put into the first issue of making it seem like it's not a big deal, to put that line in just felt like kind of out of place for me.
Yeah, I agree. It was a weird comment.
Yeah. And my only thought was just trying to figure out maybe why he did it.
And hey, if that is where they're going with it, that would be super interesting to say, like, there's this whole racism against magic beings, but even though, whatever orientation you have sexually, like there's still those people who are going to be bigoted against it. Like, even though it's a norm in this society, there are still those people that are. So, I mean, we got plenty of things in our society that are not political or not like generally controversial, that there are still people who are bigoted against them.
Yeah, and then maybe maybe they didn't do a good job of writing that from the, just in that one line, and maybe that is a downfall of it being a graphic novel that is split up into the issues, because maybe it expands on that a little bit more. But I think it, maybe it's setting that idea that no matter what your beliefs on something, you're always going to have people that think you're going to be wrong on one aspect of it, right, no matter whether it's a societal norm or not. Like you said, there's a lot of things in our culture that there still is, like, where it's like, this is a pretty normal thing, and people are like, no, like, so maybe, yeah, I'll be interested to see, because it sounds like I'll be the only one, though. I'll let you guys know what happened.
or maybe we're just reading way too much into it.
Well, that's just could be. That's the fun of, I think, an immersive universe with a lot of clear secrets. I think you naturally find yourself reading. Like, I don't know about you guys. I was reading it again because I think he's the most interesting character. I was reading a ton into the Bandaged Man and thinking, like, what's his magical lie, secret? Clearly, a guy completely covered in bandages has secrets. Yeah. And they imply a ton with that 2-page discussion of him. And I feel like there's an implication that he is
some sort of magical being himself.
Well, he's guilty of that which he hunts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it feels like there has to be. Again, we don't know enough of the characters because they're still working on the development of them. I don't know, he finds people because he can sense their magic. Like, that sounds somewhat magical in and of it.
Yeah, right. You can't. Normal people can't just.
Like,
I mean, they haven't set up that normal people in this world can smell magic. So it's some sort of super ability.
Right.
So it almost seems like it could be setting up of, like you said, he's in the bandages to hide that, the twist that M. Night Shyamalan, is that he is going to be a magical being as well.
He's a tiefling. That's a D&D joke. Watch us Sunday nights here on White Whale Comics play D&D.
Just curious of you guys, when you guys read issue 2, did you guys reread issue 1 into it, or did you just read issue 2 standalone?
I just read issue 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not. I didn't either. I did, but I will say
I don't put that much time into this show.
What was that? But today, today was an insane day for me. So I had like an hour and a half between work getting done and our first show. I was like, okay, I got to read that book too. So I had to buy the book, get home, and read it. So I didn't have the time to really dive in. But I would, I would like to go back and just read them back to back and see how that reads. Did you do that?
That's what I did. So I don't know if I broke book club policy or
no. Listen, you in fact stayed with book club policy of the tradition of guests being way more prepared than us on this show.
Good.
Discovery Bay is the only guy that came on this show without having read the book, but he still showed up. He still showed up and rolled through the show.
So because I knew I was coming on, and I wanted to, but I felt like I've read, because I read so much for other shows and reviews. I felt like I read so much that going back to issue 1, I was like, oh yeah. So I felt like I appreciated issue 2 more because it flowed better, because I feel like I was starting to read it in how it was naturally supposed to be told.
Right.
Because I think if I didn't read it, there would be stuff that we're talking about where I'm like, I forgot that they did that, or the magic bean in the garden, the
bean in the garden, right?
The little magical person bean,
yeah.
Like that
thing, yeah,
whatever it is.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason why the Bandage Man comes after the dead. Right. I didn't really, until he said it, I didn't remember it.
Right.
And what bothered, again, I completely, because they haven't touched on it, I completely forgot about the whole dream sequence in the first issue in the very beginning, because that was what was shown in the previews for this and all the comics.
Yeah.
And they have not really touched on that again either, which I was feeling like they would, because I'm like, what's the dream has to have something.
I feel like Wynd kind of subtly referenced it when he was like saying, what if my ears keep growing? Like, right. What if the magic takes over? I think that's kind of what he's scared of. I think he's scared of leaving and his magic not being in check anymore and turning into that thing that he has nightmares about.
Yeah, because he mentions it when he's talking to Oakley or whatever, that he has nightmares or bad dreams or something still.
Well, the chef tells that sort of nightmare story about the guy who was like turning into a tree basically and had his leg chopped off, and
he's like, yeah, we just kind of left him.
I was like, oh my God, magic in this world sucks.
I think it's kind of that thing where it's like everything has its price, and you can't just have all these superpowers and not have something that balances that. So you can't just be able to shoot laser beams, but not expect it to also burn your fingers when you're,
You get to go to magic school, but your parents are dead.
All right, sure. You got to live with the Dursleys.
Harry Potter in for Alec.
You got to live with the Dursleys, but you get to go to magic school.
Right. Spend 2 months there in the summer.
But on the plus side, you get to have the best teacher at Hogwarts teach you every year.
Not anymore.
Always.
Nailed it. And right now, Greg has like, I've never read Harry Potter. I don't know what you're talking about.
I do. I have a long history with Harry Potter that would probably not get me invited on John's shows.
Oh, it's fine. We're on my channel. You can
I'm
dump
gonna
on
say,
it.
you're on the right channel for that right now.
Short story. I never read any of the Harry Potters, and I had a lot of girlfriends that liked them, and so my first exposure was, I think, movie 5, and
at number 5. Holy crap!
And then I had to go backwards with her to watch them all, and
not in reverse order. You mean like jump back to number?
jump back.
Okay,
we watched all 4, and then I had to go see movie 5 again in theater.
Oh, you don't watch them in Harry order where you watch 3, 2, 4, 1, 6, 5, 8, 7?
What order is this?
No, I'm just making fun of people who watch Star Wars in the wrong order.
Oh, there you go.
You watch You watch 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 3. Like, no, just watch 4, 5, 6, and then don't watch the rest.
Have you seen that meme though, where it's like one of the Star Wars? I think it's Obi-Wan saying like, "Why are these movies out of order? Who planned this?" And it shows Yoda.
4, 5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. I was like, that's might be my favorite Star Wars meme. Upset some people else.
Yeah, that's the hot take. Not
right?
that you should only watch the original trilogy, but that your favorite Star Wars meme is the Yoda watch order.
Everyone in the chat, make sure you send your favorite Star Wars memes to John. There's better ones.
Love a good meme.
So it's funny, we've talked about how the discussions typically for books that we really don't like are more in depth, and the books that we really like are much harder to discuss. And this kind of fell in the middle, and we're at 37 minutes, and I feel like we're kind of
done. I mean, but I think it's also a statement about how light this book is, considering how many pages it is. I feel like you get 3-4 page scenes where one sentence is really what's important. I think some of these conversational scenes just go on and on and on. And I think there's just a lot of just talk. And I didn't think it amounted to very much. And I think that's part of the reason why there's not a whole lot of meat on the bone here.
Sounds like something I would write, though.
What? No, it seems like the opposite of that.
Oh, right. Yeah. I have like 2 words on a page.
Yeah.
So clearly you said you're gonna keep buying this.
I'm at least gonna pick up issue 3. If I feel like if I am at the same page where we're at on 1 and 2, then I also have a harder time to cut stuff off.
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's really going to depend on what else comes out that week. Because if it's a really light week, I'll probably buy issue 3. If I'm buying like a bunch of other books, it might not make the stack.
Right. I'm definitely not getting another issue. I'm good.
I think you probably weren't even going to buy this.
That it's the greatest graphic novel of all time. Maybe I'll buy it.
I feel like you probably wouldn't have even bought this issue if we didn't have no other options to read for this week.
Not this week, man. I spent way too much at my LCS.
Yeah, so that about wraps it up. You guys want to plug anything before we head out? John? Bearded?
First? Sure. I think I'm hopping on Andy's channel tomorrow night to talk comics. I just dropped a interview with a creator from Scout Comic.
That was good, by the way. I'm sorry I didn't leave a comment yet. That was good.
Oh, cool. So I thought of you because he mentioned The Wire as kind of his. He said it was his greatest show, and that. But it was a really cool series, and so I got excited about it. So creator of North Bend. So that just dropped tonight, and then I don't know. I'm on with you again at some point again, John.
I think a week from Saturday is what we're aiming for our next Drinks and Movies hangout.
Yeah. So besides that, just probably dropping some random videos every couple days. So
Awesome.
For me, I don't think I've got anything going tomorrow or Friday. So I think it's just Saturday morning comics and Sunday on the D&D. The next week is very busy. Next week we got you've been ousted, but we're back on Comic Gories on Monday night. I've
been ousted. Yes, I was beaten.
Crushed.
I wouldn't say crushed. I'd put up a fight.
I'll say crushed.
All right, that's fair.
That's a good fight.
It was exciting. And then Friday night next week is The Wire. Saturday night next week is sports, movies, and drinks. So it should be a lot of stuff next week. Sorry about this week, not so much.
Hey, it's all right. No one needs that much of you, John.
I don't even need that much.
Yeah. Sunday night D&D. If you didn't watch last week's, boy, what a cliffhanger! I intentionally ended it on.
It was so fun.
So go back and check that out. I typically don't plug my own stuff, but TeePublic is having a sale right now. So if you want to buy one of my stupid T-shirts, it's bit.ly/WWC shop. The WWC is capitalized, or John is probably going to copy and paste it into the chat right now because that's what he does. So it's a good time to buy, and you can get like stickers and other stupid little things with my stupid things on it. But yeah. Otherwise, just next week, book club.
Oh yeah. So next week, we are going to do book number 2 from That Texas Blood.
That Texas Blood.
There's the link for Alex TeePublic. And yeah, we'll do That Texas Blood issue number 2.
Which I'm super pumped on because that first issue was great.
Another subtle indie pick, and we'll see if issue 2 can live up.
So if you read issue 1 and really liked it or really hated it and want to come on and talk about issue 2, hit up John because it's on his channel next week.
I'm hosting.
Otherwise, hope everyone's doing well. If you're going to play Pokemon Go Fest this weekend, stay safe and stay socially distant. Yeah, I bet you didn't think I was going to say that, did you?
Did not. Don't turn your back on the COVID.
Yeah, definitely don't turn your back on the COVID. And have a great night, everyone. Bye.